Hello there again. Welcome to the review segment here on the AM show. Joseph Akablay in studio. Joseph Gakpo is joining us via Zoom, and Benjamin Akakpo will also join us via Zoom. So, gentlemen, Joseph and Joseph, good morning to you.
Good morning. How are you? How was your night?
Oh, it was good. It was good. Did you sleep at all? What time did Parliament rise yesterday?
I actually left them. So nothing too much in the house. Yeah, bro. So they actually sat very late into the day. They had given that indication long before that they are trying to get a lot of business done over the next 4 weeks so they can break and go campaign. But the agenda is, very much huge. And so these days they've been sitting very late into the evenings. And
how is the participation like? Do they come in their numbers?
No. Sometimes later in the day when they are dealing with some of the specific bills, you check the numbers and there are just about 10, 15 MPs, working on the amendments. Currently, they are working on the complementary education agency bill. So they're setting up a new agency to handle all the institutions that are outside formal education, vocational institutions, and a lot of those. They're setting up a whole new agency that will provide the necessary oversight. And usually they are like 10, 15 people.
I guess the others are learning from Joseph. They abandon the work and go and rest.
Let's just also switch and say good morning to Benjamin Akakpo, who's also joining us for the review. Benjamin?
Well, a very good morning to you, Moabi,
yes.
And the two Josephs who are always up to something. A very good morning. Thank you for having me.
All right.
Good to see you, Benjamin.
Great, guys. So straight away, let's just jump into the newspapers and let's tell you what's making headlines. Akablay would start with the Daily Guide. Yes.
The front page of the Daily Guide, a number of court stories. The first one here says government rakes 13.58 million cedis from Woyome mansions. Has a photograph of the businessman. And judge removed from Ken's case. There's a photograph of Ken Agyapong, the Assistant Central MP, and no bail for Legon lecturers, killers, also on the front page of the Daily Guide. The back page has sports stories. It says party targets more trophies. And, with us now? Okay. Has he joined a different team?
I would say more trophies.
Yeah, they are not winning any trophies.
Has he won one with them and he's looking forward to winning more with them?
The team itself hasn't won anything I can recall immediately, but okay. So they here defended despite another howler, also on the back page, and letting Lukaku go. Solskjaer greatest regret? That's the question that the Daily Guide is asking on the back page. Let me quickly do the Ghanaian Times. The front page says, Famina MP's fate hangs in the balance as Parliament deals with NPP's letter. And winners of National Science and Math Quiz present trophy to President. Has a photograph of the winners giving a trophy to the President. I watched that event yesterday. The Presec guys have cut portions of it where the President says Presec is one of the best schools, if not the best school, and they are circulating it all over.
Well, do you doubt that? Are you like?
Oh, I don't doubt that. I mean, and the president also said that they've demonstrated that they are the undisputed champions of the quiz.
That's it.
Yeah.
Is it painful to say that?
Oh no. I mean, we are all Legonites, so we don't have any qualms.
Oh, I guess for Ben and Opoku Gakpo, it's not the same. You guys I'm feeling the same. Are you? Oh, we can't hear that, Ben. You've got to unmute yourself.
Okay, I hope it's better now.
Yes, we can hear you.
Great. So my secondary school, and I say secondary school because back in the day, Charlie, so Bishop Herman College. But you see, we are affiliated to the Pre-Seconds because we also don't. I don't know about the two Josephs, but at least my school is affiliated owing to that. And the second bit, I was in the University of Ghana, also situated in Legon. So every excuse possible to tag along with the winning team. I don't know about you, Akablay.
No, but this is very confusing. This is when you say your school is affiliated, like Biherco is affiliated to Presec.
Well, I'm saying owing to our colors. Once you don blue, you're affiliated.
Are you kidding scared me. I thought you were going to say Biheko is a Presbyterian school or something.
I guess you should find out from Joseph whether TIA Media, they're also wearing blue.
Opoku Gakpo, we should skip this one, eh?
TIA Media, were they wearing blue too?
You know, explanation is, you know, but the point is that what is NSMQ? This is just, you know, as I saw on Twitter the other day, 3 very brilliant young chaps making 30 million Ghanaians feel as if every second is a smart guy. Meanwhile, you know, we can't be too sure of that. And the real deal, you know, schools which are producing presidents and speakers and all of, not schools which are producing what NSMQ champions. It won't take us anywhere.
But Joseph, is that to say, you know, the students or old students of Presec have not made it that far? We also know that some of them are parliamentarians, ministers, scientists.
The Speaker of Parliament, Joseph, you go to Parliament, the Speaker of Parliament actually, you need to be careful, Joseph. Yeah. The Speaker may be watching.
Yeah, so they just might drag you there, Joseph, for contempt. Now, if you've not learned from Ken Agyapong's own issue, I don't know, but Charlie, when they drag you, I'm not involved. I have no idea.
Let's go back to the papers now. I'll do the Daily Graphic newspaper. Here we go with what's on the front page of the paper today. And Joseph Opoku Gakpo, you're in Parliament. I don't know why this has become an issue. No by-election in Mfantsiman. The Speaker stressing that, but it's clear, isn't it? I'm not sure who started this, and it's been attributed, if you read the story, to the media. We didn't say that, did we?
I was really surprised listening to the MPs raise the issue, subsequent to which the first deputy speaker and the speaker clarified, and them saying that they've heard within the media space that people are claiming that the wife of the late MP is replacing the husband as member of parliament. I honestly don't know which media house reported that to their hearing, based on which they sought to set the record straight that because it's just less than 3 months to the next election, then no by-election, no replacement is happening and no by-election will be happening. But it's been crystal clear from the start, and we are clearing our minds on that.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's go to the center spread of the Daily Graphic. This story is also on the front page. President crowns Presec undisputed kings of national science and maths quiz. But if you get to the center spread, you see the gentleman there, and the first gentleman with the trophy. Opoku Gakpo, was that you? Okay. And then there's 2.7 million Ghana cedis projects for peri-urban farmers launched, as well as women in poultry value chain support psychiatric hospitals. On the back page, Vice President cuts sword for Bonre Kente Museum. And NADMO releases relief items to Accra flood victims, according to the Director General, who's also been touring the flood areas. Benjamin, let's come to you. You've got the Finder and the Daily Dispatch. Let's hear you. Okay, Akable, Times?
Yes, and so I brought you some of the stories on the front page, and quickly on the back page of the Times now, it has this story about UEW's idle to do more online teaching. Yep. And 250 national service personnel trained to control traffic, also on the back page of the Ghanaian Times.
All right, let's do the Business and Financial Times. Front page, presidential jet signal jam pushed us to strike. So staff of the Ghana Civil Aviation Authority have revealed that their recent declaration of a strike over the protection of aviation lands at the Wireless Station, which is adjacent the AU village in Accra, was instigated by a signal jam experienced, and it continues when the president, was returning from a trip to Mali this week. We brought you a lot more details in the AM News, but we know that the action affected domestic airlines, even though they say this whole interference in communication also affects the international airlines. But back on the front page, insurance penetration stagnates for 5 years at 1%. Industry player calls for more education and innovation, and inflation continues downward trend, hits 10.4% September. The rest of it, you have to grab the paper. Benjamin is back again, and he can now review the Daily Dispatch and the Finder newspaper. Ben?
Well, Mama V, let's quickly go to the Daily Dispatch this morning, and it says Supreme Court stops Justice Wuni from hearing Ken Agyapong's case. That's the banner headline. There's also an analysis of Eastern Region's electoral votes. That story on page 11 of the Daily Dispatch. And then there's this interesting one. I am not behind Gushegu MP's withdrawal from parliamentary race. That is Hassan Tampuli. He's been speaking there. And that's a story I'm going to be getting into some pretty interesting matters there. But quickly, let's switch over to let me do the back page of the Daily Dispatch before I move on to the Business Finder. It says, so it carries the story, actually, of the Supreme Court stopping Justice Wuni from hearing the Ken Agyapong contempt case. Now, when you go to the Business Finder newspaper now, it says banking reforms win Bank of Ghana Global Prize as it receives a World Central Bank of the Year award. So that's one of the stories there. Then September inflation drops to 10.4%. If you've been following, that's a marginal drop there of 0.1%. So it's a drop from 10.5 to 10.4%. And then keep supporting households, save jobs. That's according to the IMF. So those are the two papers I'm going to be reviewing, Mama.
Okay, great. Joseph, I see you've opened the Akosius. Is this something you want to highlight on page 3 of the Daily Guide?
It's the story about the women money and some other issues that we are looking at.
Otherwise, I'm just going to go to Joseph Opoku-Gakpo. You were in Parliament yesterday. Question is, did they bring closure to the matter of the Fomena Member of Parliament? Did they close the chapter? Because we know that per the NPP's own constitution, once he filed as an independent candidate, he lost his membership with the party. The party petitioned Parliament. What has Parliament concluded?
In fact, they've not even yet opened the chapter on that as far as Parliament is concerned. I've been asking around all day yesterday for a copy of the third letter the MPP has written to Parliament, which was stated in the press statement that General Secretary John Boyden actually issued. I'm yet to see a copy myself. I asked the minority leader, for example, for a copy. He said he hadn't seen a copy himself, except to confirm that at the level of leadership, they're discussing what exactly to do with this particular instance. It needs to go through a process. As in, once the NPP has said that they want him out of Parliament, and we usually point to the Article 97 clause, which says that once you leave the party on which ticket you came to Parliament, then the seat could be declared as vacant. The process has to be triggered on the floor for a conversation among MPs, and then a decision being taken before the Speaker can eventually declare the seat vacant. That process hasn't started in Parliament. No one is clear when anyone will trigger. It would involve one of two things. Either an MP drawing the House attention during one of the sittings after it had been agreed on in conclave. Conclave is a pre-sitting meeting. Or the Speaker may just go ahead and probably read out the letter that has come to him from the NPP. And then based on that, the House will deliberate when it take a decision and say, yes, we will agree to this before the Speaker can go ahead and declare the seat vacant. Until then, the gentleman remains a member of Parliament. He is still entitled to whatever privileges that he's supposed to have as a member.
But did you see him yesterday?
It's actually been a while since I saw him. Since the House returned from its break recently, I haven't spotted him. Just as a number of other MPs who are still campaigning because they say these are very busy times for them. He's not so much of an active member on the floor of Parliament itself, but then of course, as we repeatedly said, a lot of the work is done at the committee level. So if an MP is not active on the floor, he's probably doing more work at the committee level than you could ever think of.
Yeah.
But just to round it up briefly, the minority leader, Haruna Idrisu, throws in a very interesting aspect of the conversation as to whether the NPP can go ahead and get him out of Parliament. Because he points to the fact that the Constitution talks about if someone leaves the party that brought him to power. As you put out there on the screen, a member of parliament has vacated seat in parliament. If he leaves the party of which he was a member at the time of his election to parliament to join another party or seeks to remain in parliament as an independent member. The minority leader's question is, in this gentleman's case, he didn't decide to leave the party. The party decided to sack him. Although everyone points to the fact that him deciding to go independent means that the party's own constitution has to apply. But for the minority leader, it raises constitutional issues that they are still seeking the advice of their legal department and their legal brain before a firm decision can be taken.
Great. There's one more matter, but let's go to Ben. Ben, you had a pick in one of the papers?
Yes, I did. Let's go to page 2 of the Daily Dispatch newspaper. And I'm going to take that story with regard to the NP, National Petroleum Authority boss. And it says, I'm not behind Gushegu MP's withdrawal from parliamentary race. That is Hassan Tampuli. Now, just a bit of a background. The reason I'm doing this story has to do with, if you recall, the instances with regard to the majority leader, Oseiche Mensah Bonsu. If you recall the issues to do with Joe Wise, among others, you would know that some people feel within the MPP proper, there's been some arm twisting with regard to who stands as a member of parliament or the parliamentary candidate for their party in many of the constituencies in which the party is contesting. And that story basically talks about the new Patriotic Party's parliamentary candidate for Gushegu, Hassan Tampuli, refuting claims that he masterminded the withdrawal of Dr. Ziblim Idi from the MPP primaries. Dr. Ziblim actually was the member of parliament, or is the substantive member of parliament, also deputy minister for tourism there, and he pulled out of the race. Interestingly, according to Hassan Tampuli, it was only matters following the natural course. That is what he said. And he is saying that he thinks it will be preposterous for people to take the position or assume that there was any arm twisting involved. My take on this matter is that it is pretty peculiar, especially for an incumbent to step aside the way Dr. Ziblim actually did. And some have suggested that there might have been some coercion. He suggested, the powers that be in the party discoursed with him, and he decided based on what had been.
Yeah, quite interesting. I know that constituency well. Dr. Ziblim Idi, he was my lecturer. He was a political science lecturer, but I enjoyed his foreign policy class, so I took that particular course back at Legon.
He was given a deputy ministerial position, wasn't
yes,
he?
He's a deputy minister for tourism and creative art. He's a brilliant foreign relations expert, and like Agyapong says, it's very strange. He's actually struggled to get into parliament. He contested a different seat where his father hails from. He lost. Then he moved to Gushegu, where his mom hails from. Then he was able to win a seat. And so one term, then all of a sudden he fails to contest. Then he decides that he's withdrawn. He's not going to contest again. Then the NPA boss comes into contest. Like, it's really baffling. And he's made a point that it was engagements that he decided to withdraw. But Hassan Tampuli is now saying that he's not the one who is behind it. But I mean, clearly something must have happened and some deliberation must have gone on, because either than that, for those of us who know Dr. Ziblim Idi, he wants to be in parliament. He wanted to be in parliament. That's how come he lost and still came back and pushed and managed to win a seat for the MPP. Yeah. A seat that the MPP has struggled to win.
But bottom line, he gave up.
Yeah, he gave up.
Yeah.
Quite unfortunate.
So, Joseph, you tell us about the court case, but I wanted Opoku Gakpo, because yesterday I listened to your interaction with the Deputy Defense Minister, and I was wondering where all that came from. Like, what's media inciting the people against MPs? Like, what's that matter about, really? Okay.
Can you hear me? Yes, I can hear you. Major retired Derek Odro, obviously he's in a world of his own. he makes the point that if you rise against MPs as if they are from Afghanistan, and if
the Congo Basin,
they are from Congo River Basin, the public should remember that it's the public who put them there to serve the nation, and that the public is supposed to love them and then get them closer to the members of the public. But he makes the point that people hate MPs, and it's partly because of the media and how the media is inciting a lot of people to actually hate MPs. Obviously, the gentleman is in the world, so wish him well.
He sounded quite upset yesterday. But real quick, Akable, tell us what happened to the Ken Agyapong case. Most of the reliefs were granted, in fact, all, except for this one, which means the contempt case is still very much active, except that there's a new judge who will be handling the matter.
Yes, and so that is what's happened. So going forward, what is going to happen is that a new judge will be appointed by the Registrar of the Court through the processes for the new judge to hear the matter. They said the judge was hostile towards them. And it's interesting, the report that we played before the news, it starts with the sound of Afenya Markin at the last proceedings at the High Court, where he says that our engagements with the bench has so far been very healthy and very cordial. But they got to the Supreme Court and said that it has been very hostile, and the court, agreed and said that, okay, in the interest of justice, let's transfer the matter to another judge to hear it. And so Ken Agyapong still faces contempt, but in a different culture.
Yeah, also very interesting, the words of the Deputy Attorney General. I think that was a bit surprising.
Very
Explain to us why he is in the midst of this.
The court said that because the decision, the application seeks to set aside the High Court's proceedings, the High Court judge cannot be a respondent, and so the AG's office has to come in as a nominal defendant and speak on it. And Mr. Dame got there and surprisingly said that, what ought to generate the court's attention is the comments the MP makes, which he says are no doubt scandalous. And for the records, they are both members of the New Patriotic Party. And so that is a member of the NPP saying that to the court that the comments were scandalous.
Well, listen, still a lot of respect to the judge who's been handling this case, who is no longer going to be handling it. And I a lot of respect to you, sir, because we've been following your procedure and we love it. We've learned a lot. So thank you. Gentlemen, this is where we have to leave the review. Opoku Gakpo, the limping candidate, suspending in the air. I just wrote these words because that's what Haruna Idrisu, that's how he chose to describe him yesterday. We wait to see how things, turn up today. Hopefully there can be closure on that matter.
You know him and his potable coat, and how once he's done with the interview, he's walking away while he finishes with the interview. Very interesting.
Yeah. All right. Catch you later on. Benjamin, finally with you.
Yes. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, so I just wanted to make the point, going back to Hassan Tampuli's, issue, I just wanted to make the point that it would be interesting to see how the NPP, copes with all of these independent candidates. In the case of Dr. Iblim, he is not actually going to, Dr. Idi, I beg your pardon, he's not going to contest as an independent candidate. But if in the Ashanti region, for example, 9 of them, at least 9 of them going independent. We just wait to see how all of these are going to affect the fortunes of the party in terms of the parliamentary races. Hopefully it doesn't. But with the way things are going and with the comments that are coming through, you can only forecast. Look into your crystal ball and see that there might be some trouble brewing. So we wait to see come December 7th.
Well, that's actually one of our big conversations this morning right after sport. So we'll get into that matter proper. Gentlemen, the 2 Josephs and Ben, we will catch you a bit later on. And this is where we have to end the review. Coming up next is Oreko Ampofo. He's got sports. There's nothing on Kotoko in the news today, is there? Stay with us.